Welcome to Astro Chat with Anne Sundell, Kimberly Williams, and Monica Anna. We are three professional astrologers living in three separate countries, coming together every new and full moon to share our 3 points of view on astrology. Whether you enjoy deep dives into the current transits or you are just beginning to learn about astrology for the first time, there is a place for you here. All that is required is an appreciation for astrology, along with respect for the various traditions within it. So grab a mug of coffee, your favorite cup of tea, or any other beverage of your choice, and join us for a chat on the astrology of the next 2 weeks.
Hello, welcome to another weekly Astro Chat. I'm Kimberly Williams, and I'm going to be your host today. Sadly, Anne Sundell and Monica Anna are unable to join us. They are currently caught up with other astrological pursuits, but hopefully we'll be back in 2 weeks when we meet again and look at the new moon. But for today, welcome. It is going to be you and we are exploring the upcoming full moon in Aries. This full moon is going to happen on October 17th. Here in the central time zone of the United States, it'll be in the morning at 6:27 a.m. Across the pond, if you're over in Great Britain, that'll be 12:25 in the afternoon. And further afield in Finland, that is 2:25 in the afternoon. Or if you're military time, I believe that's 14:25. Of course, if you don't live in one of the 3 countries we live in, to pull up the chart and calculate it to your time zone so that you can follow along as we dive in and unpack. But before we dive into the chart, let's start off by looking at the Sabian symbol. If you're a follower of our podcast, you know that we like to start off each episode exploring the mystical meanings of the Sabian symbol. It can really add an extra layer of meaning to whatever we're about to explore. And interestingly, the Sabian symbol for 25 Aries, because our moon will be at 24 Aries and a few minutes, so we're going to round that up to 25 for the Sabian symbol work. So 25 Aries Sabian symbol does not describe people or an object that we see. It's rather about a process. And here's what it says. A double promise reveals the inner and outer meaning. Let me say that for you again. A double promise reveals the inner and outer meanings. That could be taken in so many ways. So this could be saying that we have something internal that is being revealed to the external world, perhaps hidden in, or our own unconscious motivations are coming to light or being revealed. And that's certainly possible. But as I read about what others say on this symbol, one repeated meaning that kept coming up that I really liked talked about this kind of reflecting the heads and tails of a coin, that ability of what is inside I am now expressing outside, and what is outside I'm taking in. And for many, there are many examples where this actually showed people coming together, people perhaps of different points of view, being able to bring their internal points of view out, sharing it, or taking other points of view in. We come together to take common action. And I really liked that. Perhaps I'm a little biased because I live in a country that is about to have its elections, and there's a lot of political division at play right now. But that really sat and resonated with me. So I'd be curious to know what you think about the Sabian symbol and how it flavors your interpretation of this Aries moon. So let's talk about the Aries moon. The full moon, obviously, is where things are coming to light. Full moon energy is all about projection, perhaps an energy we are not owning, we are seeing in others, or we are projecting onto others, or they are projecting onto us. In our personal work, in our personal lives, full moon energy is often what is coming to light. What is it that I'm now seeing? The unconscious energies of the moon are coming up and being revealed to that conscious side of awareness of our sun, of our mind. And doesn't that fit in with that Sabian symbol, that what has been in and unconscious is now coming up and being revealed to our outer consciousness, through our outer world, through the actions we're taking. The Aries energy is very much about, what do I want to start? Where do I want to begin? What do I want to launch? What do I want to do? Because Aries is a fire sign. It's all bring excitement, enthusiasm, passion. And here, all of that passion, that energy, that excitement is being applied to what am I about to begin? Because cardinal signs always fall at the beginning of one of the 4 seasons. Those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, we know that for us, Aries is tied to the spring equinox. And for those of the Southern Hemisphere, it would be tied to a autumn equinox. What's the idea? We're starting up. What are we about to begin? And as the first sign of the zodiac, it's very appropriate for Aries energy, any planet in Aries, to be bringing that energy of what do I begin? What do I want to stir up? Where do I want to be motivated? And I keep saying I intentionally because Aries is about I. It's about me, myself, and I. What do I want to begin? Where do I want to be? What fills me with passion? It's a great time when we're dealing with either a new moon or a full moon are both great times to really sit and reflect on what does fill me with passion. Answer that question for yourself. Aries energy is about the self, not in terms of I need to be self-centered, not about being selfish. No, it's a bigger issue. It's about self-care, self-awareness, self-knowledge. If I am not confident and aware and in touch with what fills me up, then I'm doing work from a place of burnout, and then I'm not able to step into my higher Capricorn energy. If I do not know what I'm desiring in relationship, then I can't step into Libra and have a happy, healthy, harmonious relationship. I might be giving too much of myself away. If I do not know what makes me feel safe and comfortable, how can I step into Cancer energy and be able to show up and be present for those I love? Ultimately, there's a saying that always makes me think about Aries, which is we cannot pour water from a pitcher that is empty. Aries reminds us that we must stop and fill up our own cup, fill ourselves up first before we're able to then make it about others or responsibilities or family or any of the other wonderful things in our life. I really love when we have this moment to stop and reflect on myself. So I invite you to use this energy to do the same. Aries is a blend of fire and cardinality. So the fire is all that passion that I just mentioned, excitement, passion, enthusiasm. What does light my fire? And then we mix that with cardinality. What do I want to start? What do I want to begin? How am I going to move forward? And all of this is happening as a full moon, my unconscious lunar energies coming to light of my conscious energies. And it's also a time where we may find, because it's happening on the moon, a time where emotions, what desire, what emotions, what feelings are coming to light? What is the inner enthusiasm? What is the inner anger? What is the inner joy? What is the inner sorrow? Like the whole world of our moon-based emotions. What is it that is coming up to light? And what do I want to do, start, act upon about this? So I'm thinking that this particular lunation and the aspects we're about to look at here could be saying something to us very tied into we're not feeling so logical. We're not necessarily feeling grounded. This is a time to get out there and do something. Whether I'm taking a big leap or whether I'm taking that first small step, it is the energy of action because I want to do it, because it makes me feel alive, because it's necessary for my being. Let's unpack what this could mean. The first thing is we have the opposition, the full moon energy. And so the sun and the moon opposite each other. On the side of the moon, that Aries energy, we have all that lunar energy that we just talked about. And we have Chiron, the asteroid known, referred to oftenly as the wounded healer. Chiron says that this is something about the wounding I have experienced before and the healing I'm ready to step into now around myself, around being myself, about expressing myself, about bringing myself forward, about taking actions because they're good for me. So wherever in life we have felt pressured about making it about others, about career, about responsibilities, about family, about fill in the blank, rather than about ourselves. When we've told ourselves or heard that it needs to be about someone or something else first before it can be about us, and the wounds that has created, possibly in early childhood, possibly from past lives, but that idea of where have we had this, it isn't right for me to make it about myself. I also think for many folks, this could be saying where you have witnessed other people stepping off the beam of this self-awareness, self-care, self-knowledge, and they've gone into the realm of making it too much about themselves and stepped into selfishness. If those kind of people have been a role model, we may have gone the other side of the spectrum. We may have moved into giving away energy about myself. And so here's an opportunity for us to really heal some of that imbalance. And the reason I focus on imbalance because of course, across the chart, we have the sun in Libra, which wants to bring balance, reestablish some harmony, some peace, some where do I need to make it more myself? Where is the line about making it too much about myself? How do I find that sweet spot? And how do I encourage the people around me to do the same? Because if they are making it too much about themselves, then we might need to encourage them to say, hey, I need to make it about me right now. So we're seeing some of that energy in regards to those other people who could be really important triggers, challenges, obstacles, or as I like to think of it, opportunities, those momentary kerfuffles that allow us to have big insight or to see more clearly what is happening. I would say that this could be where that asteroid Juno and that point of Black Moon Lilith really come into play. Juno energy lends a who or what am I committed to? So where perhaps are my commitments responsible for my imbalance, or my thoughts about commitment, or am I committed that others are? These are all kind of questions that we could ponder with this. Black Moon Lilith would also add a layer of energy that says, what am I angry about? Where have I been carrying resentment about it's too much about others and not about me in my life over time? And it has built up, and it is no longer resentment, but it is now seething energy, anger. Or where have I watched other women make it about others? You know, that idea of self, but from an unhealthy point of view, not from something that is momentary and necessary, but more of a toxic, unhealthy, ongoing pattern. Has that been something the women in my family have done, or that I watch a particular group do? And we may find ourselves feeling very passionate and enlivened to act on their behalf. And again, we have to come back to is that action going to put me more in alignment, more in balance with my true self, or is it moving me further away? Now, if it was just these two, we would probably have answers to those questions rather quickly, and we'd get back into a state of that seesaw would come back to balance. But we have the T-cross, right? We have those other two planets of Mars and Pluto that are opposite each other and adding extra tension, because here you have not only two oppositions, but also four squares. Mars is the energy of how I take that action that Aries has inspired in me. How am I going to act? How am I stepping out into the world? How am I moving? How do I take the energy within my soul, my body, my mind? How do I put it out into the world? How do I move it? And when Mars is feeling that it is thriving, we often are very active. We're very out in the world. We're very much energized. When it feels that it is struggling, we may have issues with a lack of physical vitality. It may be hard to motivate ourselves to get up off the sofa, or the latest binge watching, or eating the comfort food, as is the case when Mars is in Cancer. We might find ourselves a little less likely to act on those motivations that are bubbling up, which means we can also become very angry at ourselves for not taking action, for not stepping up. And opposite that, we have Pluto, which is in Capricorn again, right? This will be the last journey, the last leg in Capricorn energy. As we've talked about before, it had gone into Aquarius and now it did its little retrograde dance back into that final 29 anaretic degree that is so tough of Capricorn, and it's journeying its way back. So by February, we'll be back in Aquarius and moving into the future. So this is an opportunity to really wrap up. Where have I not, or collectively, where have we not stepped into claiming our authority, claiming our sovereignty, doing the job we need to do, taking responsibility? The Capricorn energy of what is the mountain I'm meant to climb, and have I been successful? Have I even started that journey? Am I halfway up the mountain? Where am I headed? If we've climbed and been successful in our outer physical world of life, what's the next mountain? What is that mountain range in front of me? So this could really be the time of having to determine our future goals, but facing the goals that scare us. Pluto work is never easy. It's always about reclaiming the energy I've given away to fear. So what is it about being the boss, being in charge? What is it about being successful, about the fear of failing and not being successful, or the fear of self? What is it about the accomplishments I want, and maybe those goals that just feel too big, too monumentous, too overwhelming, too fanciful and unrealistic? All of these could be things that in the last few months, as Pluto has been back in Capricorn, are pulling at us again. And now the challenge is, Mars says, but are you going to act on it? Or are we going to sit and hide, as I think Austin Coppock calls it? Are we going to build the proverbial couch fortress and stay inside? I think that's such a good analogy when Mars is in Cancer. Because here's the thing, Mars in Cancer is in its fall. It's the sign it struggles to operate in. Not that this is a bad thing. I think that when a planet is in its fall, we are operating by a different playbook than the rest of the world, the rest of society. In other words, the way I want to take action when Mars is in Cancer is very different than any of the other sign that Mars is in. We live in a world where I should take action. It should be confident. When it's in Cancer, I might feel a little scared. I might feel unsteady on my feet. I may have to do it scared and do it anyway, as the saying goes. When Mars is in Cancer, this idea of moving and projecting myself out into the world, we may find ourselves like the ocean with the ebb and the flow. We may find that our actions have stop and starts. It's not one big courageous jump out into the fray. No, I'm going to take a baby step and then stop. And I'm going to take another step and then I'm going to stop. And so it's very much a go at our own pace, go as we can, and then stopping to lick our wounds or strengthen up our confidence, or perhaps refill that pitcher. I need more water. I need more energy. I need to give myself a pat on the back. I need to reward for what just happened. Whatever it is, that I'm not going to just run full steam ahead like Mars might do in any of the other signs. And this is okay. It's just we have to understand that it's different from perhaps what we expect of ourselves, or it's different from what others expect of us. Those expectations can trip us up every time. Expectations are very much associated with that opposite sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is all about what I expect of myself. The accomplishments I want to achieve have a lot to do with the expectations not only I have for myself, but that society has for me, or my family, or those structures of the outer world expect on me. So I'm thinking that all of this energy could be saying we're having to work through some of the expectations. We're having to break past some of the conditioning that we've all experienced about either seeing who I am more clearly, or maybe we're having to act upon what's good for me rather than what's good for fill in the blank, someone, something else. And a last point I want to make about all this tension that we have here is it isn't just about having tension and feeling that we're suffering through these obstacles and challenges that occur. And of course, if you look at your natal chart and look to see where do you have the cardinal signs of Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, those houses, those planets that you have placed there are going to tell you a lot more about how this is specifically impacting you in your life. We're talking here about the general impact that all of us are feeling, but it's not just about having tension in those areas and suffering through until we get on the other side, suffering until the planets shift. No, it's grand crosses are important because one, they build up tension. And often that tension is necessary to encourage us to make a change. In other words, it's one thing to think about starting a new career, Capricorn energy, or stepping into or out of a relationship, Libra energy, or making it about myself instead of others, Aries energy. Or am I going to use home as my sanctuary or as my hideaway, Cancer energy? As just an example of one of the many ways those signs could be activating and hitting us. Sometimes in order to make the change, we need to feel like our back is against the wall. Have you ever noticed that in those situations when it's a now or never, I must do this, or it's just the buildup of what I can take and cannot take has reached that threshold. I can't take this anymore. That's when we break the mold, step out of the box, take some action, do things that are good for us, move forward in that direction that has been calling. And so I feel like the tension here is meant to inspire us to say, I'm not going to feel this discomfort. I'm going to move. I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to break the energy of that opposition, that square. I'm going to move forward. And specifically when the grand crosses are in cardinal signs, I believe there's a lot of karmic connections here. Cardinals are about taking energy, taking your energy, taking action, moving forward. Action is always the key word with each of the cardinal signs, even though they may pull us into different areas of life. It's about how do I open that door and step through and take action over there in this part of my world, of my life. So what has happened karmically, either in our past of this life or in past lifetimes, about a refusal to take action, a resistance to taking action, a fear of taking action. Crosses often are bringing us into where we must step up and take the action that has eluded us. And it doesn't really matter in this case, from that point of view, it doesn't really matter what action I take. It's about take any action. Big step, small step, leap or crawl, but move, do something. Take the action to start moving yourself away from the discomfort and into a different attitude. Now, it's not all harshness with this lunation. We also have, as I mentioned, Jupiter, the greater benefic, that likes to expand. It's currently in Gemini, helping us use our mind and objectivity to look at things from a perhaps less emotional perspective than that Aries moon is bringing up. Now that I'm seeing the feelings that are been behind the surface, how do I want to use them? How can I expand them? How can I take anger and turn that into motivation? How can I use my joy and expand it so that I can reach others or do more or be inspired? And that Jupiter is a lovely trine to the Libra sun, that energy of air sign to air sign. So this could be saying that as we take the Sabian symbol idea of what is inside in the inner world, and we bring that out into the outer world, we now have luck on our side. We have the ability to attract opportunities, guides, mentors, the things that will move us forward. Instead of holding it in and hiding in the couch fortress, let's get out into the world and connect with other people. And it also makes a style to that Aries moon, right? Saying, I want to expand what I'm feeling. I don't want to hide, suppress, or avoid, or be ignorant to my own internal drives, passions, motivations, because those things are connected with my emotions. And if I am keeping one away, I'm keeping the other away. So if we're feeling burnt out, if we're feeling frustrated, blocked in some way, if we're feeling that I can't seem to be moving forward, everything is a stop and start, and that's frustrating me. This could be saying that by getting in touch with how I feel opens the door so that I can also get in touch with what motivated me to begin with. And we may find ourselves re-excited, reignited, reinvigorated about what it is I want to be doing. So I think that's some lovely energy. And of course, if we're going to talk about the greater benefic, we should wrap up by talking about the lesser benefic of Venus. We're going to find that in the afternoon, just hours after this full moon, Venus is leaving Scorpio and entering the next sign of Sagittarius. And as she goes into Sagittarius, which I like to think of Venus and Sagittarius as mixing the excitement of Sagittarius with the pleasure of Venus, which feels very soothing to me, like that what is it that's going to take the sting out of the harshness of dealing with all this grand cross energy? So there could be some soothing moments, some relief, some, calm in the midst of the storm kind of moments as she's making this transition. And we may find ourselves more excited, right? More alive. Sagittarius is also a fire sign. We're more invigorated. And as she moves into Sagittarius, she will make some harmonious contacts to the North and the South node. Specifically, she's going to trine the North node that is finishing up its journey through Aries. She'll be making a trine to, how do I want to connect with my future? How do my desires, the Venus energy of what do I not just want, I desire it. How is being excited about those desires connected to what's going to motivate me to move forward? And of course, moving forward means moving out of the comfort zone. I like to think about one of the pop songs I love to play whenever we're dealing with a lot of Aries energy is the song Brave. And the lyrics are, honestly, I want to see you be brave. We need to be brave about what we desire and step into it. And we also see that Venus in Sagittarius sextile to that South node that's in Libra. So what has been hard about letting go of relationships or maybe relationship patterns? What has been difficult to release? Have we been working on ancestral patterns? I know for me that some of the patterns I've been trying to break free of, break through, have had been a lot of inherited patterns around scarcity, around relationships, around the expectations of what a relationship will be, all of that world that is relationship and money, very Venusian. As she makes contact to that South node, we may just find it easier to let that go, to release what no longer serves us, and to also honor and treasure what we have built, like to see the worth in the struggles we have overcome and to see how I have strengthened myself. This is a great time to be your own cheerleader, to acknowledge and promote your strengths, your gifts, your awesomeness, and following the passion as our guide, as our compass into how we move there. That's my take on it. Now, I'm pretty sure that if Anne and Monica were here, we'd probably be getting a little more toned down on this enthusiasm and thinking a little more broader. But there must be a reason that it's just you and I. So perhaps we needed that dose of positivity. I'm going to leave it with that. And of course, it wouldn't be an Astro Chat podcast without wrapping up with a tip and trick. My tip, a suggestion, if you will, is be brave. Do one thing on this exciting, fiery full moon. Do one thing because it fills you with some excitement. And like a roller coaster, excitement can also be just a little scary. But tap in, lean into your excitement about life, about yourself, and do it because it fills you up. So I'd love to hear in the comments what you decide to do to fill your own pitcher with some water so that you have more energy in the weeks that follow. And if you are listening to us on podcast platforms, please take a moment to review us, rate us. It allows other people to find us on those platforms. And if you're a YouTube watcher, I would love it if you put some comments below and let us know, how are you going to fill your pitcher with water this coming full moon in Aries? See you back here in 2 weeks when we meet up to talk about the upcoming new moon in Scorpio. Take care.
Thank you for joining us in this week's Astro Chat. We hope that you enjoyed the discussion and would love to hear about anything that resonated with you. Keep the conversation going by posting shareable content on our Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube pages. You can also email us at astrochatpodcast@gmail.com. Astro Chat is uploaded every 2 weeks on the Saturday before each new and full moon. Look for us on your favorite podcast platform as well as on YouTube. You can support Astro Chat and receive exclusive content by donating on our Patreon page. We look forward to chatting with you all again at the next lunation of the moon.